Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you are in the world. I see that you're being let in. You were previously in the waiting room. I'm really excited to deliver this content to you. I understand how at your particular age or circumstances, in your particular circumstances, I understand how this topic can be very important. So rest assured, we've given a lot of care. We've done it with a lot of passion and love because, you know, at IESE, we live the whole serving everybody else. So we consider ourselves servants. So what I'm trying to say is that I really hope that you make the best out of this webinar. So it's actually 1 o'clock, so I'm gonna go ahead and begin. So welcome again. So this webinar is about how to build a CV with impact. Okay, it's not how to build a CV, it's about how to build a CV with impact. There's a difference, and I will explain what the difference is. Just a few rules. This webinar, I'm gonna be asking some questions, and if nobody is participating, I will be cold calling. So I'll just call your name out, and I will expecting you to have an answer. Okay, now when that time comes, if you have an answer or if I call you, just unmute yourself and just give us the answer. Okay, if you have any questions, please write them out in the chat. And my colleague Deborah, she will be keeping a tally of the questions. And if we have time at the end, we'll try to cover some. Okay. Lastly, I do want to mention that this webinar will be recorded, and the recording will be shared with you. Your faces will not appear in the recording, only your voices. Okay, so you don't have to worry about GDPR or privacy concerns, okay? So let's begin. All right, so who am I? First of all, as you can probably see, this is a picture of back when I was a strapping young man, and not anymore. But my name is Carlos, and I am currently an associate director at IESE Business School. And I work in the Career Development Center. The Career Development Center is designed to help the students connect with companies and to train them so that when they make those connections, they make the best out of it. It's basically, you know, our department involved with helping you achieve your career goals, whether that's getting a job, an internship, starting your own business, whatever it is. Okay, find me on LinkedIn. If you have any questions, I'm happy to help outside of this webinar. If you want to learn more about the MIM, what tips I have, because I did play a big role in admissions, so I understand what the process is like. So if you want to connect with me, I'm happy to help. If you want to do a mock interview, whatever it is, I'm here for you, okay? Remember, we're servants, just don't take advantage. Cool, so what's the objective of this presentation? Number one is to explain the whys behind a CV. Like, why do CVs exist? What is the purpose of a CV? And why do they have the different sections that they have? The second, of course, is to debunk, to clarify, to explain what creates impact in a CV. And of course, the overarching goal of this presentation is for you to take skills with you that you can later use in the future and hopefully teach others. Okay, so what is the purpose of a CV? Let me explain how this works. So in any company, you have the business generating departments, which is mostly like sales, marketing, operations, which is the one that executes everything that you design, certain parts of finance, whatever. And then you have the support departments. One of those support departments is HR. Now, HR does not generate business. The business departments do. But HR work with the business departments to see what their needs are in terms of development of talent, in terms of acquiring new talent. So for example, if I work in sales and I have an opening in my team, I want to go to HR and say, hey, I'm looking for this person with these skills, with these attitudes, with this location, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And HR is okay, I'm going to upload some job postings online, go to some business schools and recruit, et cetera, et cetera. So that's how it works. So you have a recruiter, they have a staffing need, and it's a need to cover a position, right? And then on the other hand, you have your CV. So what does your CV do for this recruiter? Easy. It explains your experience, your skills, your competencies. It also determines how employable you are according to what it is that they're looking for. And finally, the role of the CV is to get you the interview. Now, you may be wondering, of course, there's a CV, but there's also the cover letter. What's up with this cover letter and how does it come into the picture? Basically, the CV and the cover letter, they're part of the application materials, right? And together, they don't get you the job. Many people think that the CV gets you the job. That's not true. The cover letter and the CV get you the interview. And your performance in the interview gets you the job, not the CV, okay? Now, what we know of a CV is basically what we believe shows only the tip of the iceberg, which is partially true. A conventional CV just shows the tip of the iceberg of who we are, right? So your experience, your certifications, your skills, your education, etc. Everything else, we don't usually, we're not usually used to a CV actually showing all these things. You know, your values, what potential you have, your attitudes, your motivations, your personality, etc. Oh, but it could, okay? And I'm gonna teach you how. Now, in order to do so, I want to test your foundation. So I want you to grab a piece of paper right now and a pen, okay? And I want you to imagine that a recruiter or me, I just read your CV, okay? And after reading your CV, what 5 words do you want me to take away from reading your CV? Like easy, like are you responsible? Are you honest? Are you hardworking, etc.? Fabrizio or Deborah, can you mute everybody, please? I'm getting some background noise. So do this right now. I'm gonna give you 20 seconds. What 5 words do you want me to take away after reading your CV? Okay, any volunteers? Just shout out 1 word.
Curious.
Curious?
Flexible.
Flexible, nice.
Tenacious.
Tenacious, I love it.
Ambitious.
A team player.
Ambitious, team player, yes, yes.
Dedicated.
Hardworking.
Open-minded.
Open-minded, yes, good.
Proactive.
Proactive, perfect, sounds beautiful.
Driven.
Focused.
Focus, awesome. I'm gonna stop you, Thank you. Now let's continue. The next exercise is, these are the ones that I have. The next exercise is, I want you to cross out the words that you think that I can also find from reading another person's CV. So not just, if I have your CV and 5 others, can I see those same words in others? And if I can, cross them out. Take 5 seconds for this. All right, what's the insight?
Nothing's left.
Exactly, exactly. And you know why? Because every job candidate using a conventional CV is the same to a recruiter because they appear the same. Oof, I just blew your mind, I hope so. Anyway, candidates appear as commodities. If you know what the definition of a commodity is basically a product that is identical to another, and they can only compete on brand or price, but not on any product features. Rice, beans, butter, you get the point, okay? Now, it's the same for us, we're just products, but we're not gonna compete on price because we're not gonna go to a recruiter and say like, hey, I'll take $10,000 less than the competition. That's just not smart or effective. What we're gonna do is compete on brand. So let's do the following exercise. I want you to make these 2, to write a bullet point for each and make them attractive. Assuming that they are in a CV, make them attractive. Like what would make an action that these people did in their job, what would make them attractive? How can you make it attractive? How can you make it not conventional? I'm gonna give you a minute. Okay, any volunteers? coffee maker, how can you make it attractive? I read a CV, what's one line that I can read about this coffee maker that will make it attractive, professionally attractive?
I would stand out my creativity, which would be the main point in this job. To make
How?
a good coffee, a beautiful coffee, a one which stands out, which is not ordinary, which has a beautiful I don't know, a beautiful image on the top of the coffee.
Like with the milk, like a decoration?
Yes, a decoration. Exactly.
Okay, so you're establishing yourself as a coffee artist, but what's the impact of that?
The impact is that you stand out. You stand out. You differ from the others, because the others just press a button, make the coffee, and perhaps they are standing up 8 hours per day, but they won't stand out by giving a beautiful product to the customer.
Beautiful, perfect. So now that you understand the impact that you're trying to have, how can you phrase it so that I can see that impact, how I can see the result of that impact? What can you say about that skill in making beautiful coffee and how that is translated into an impact for the company that you're working for the coffee shop? How would you say it?
Well, it would impact, to my mind, the turnover, because the clients, if you're grateful with them, you're good with them, you satisfy all their needs, not only all their needs, but you give something else. You give your sauce to it, and I think it would increase the turnover of the company because they would come back a lot more.
Perfect. What about mailroom worker? Can I get another volunteer? Was that you, Axel? Is that your name, Axel?
Yes, Axel Bertani, yes.
Okay, cool. Any other volunteers for the mailroom worker?
Maybe time-oriented and very efficient.
Okay. Now you're just giving me words that I can cross out.
So you could phrase that as I'm not sure how to make that sound not generic.
I understand. I'm just going to move on for the sake of time, but I like where your head's at because you're thinking about it correctly. Kipras. So look, best coffee barista and deliver customer experience in the Tri-City area and increase sales by 12%. Reorganize our workflow to increase efficiencies by 33%. The point is, there is a way of framing this yourself so that you can increase your value in front of a recruiter that reads your CV, regardless of what kind of position that you had. So it's all about framing, okay? I'm gonna move on. Now, so why should you build your CV with extra care? First of all, it is your vehicle to the destination. If your destination is X company or X role, this is your vehicle. I know that once you get there, you have to interview, but what's gonna get you the interview is a CV. Now, it's a sales tool whose sole purpose is to get you the job. What's wrong with this sentence?
It's meant to be interview.
Yes, nice, good man, very good. The next point is the fact that it's going to be your first contact in most cases. It's going to be actually the first piece of work that a recruiter will see from you. Like they will get to understand how you produce a document, like how you work. So you have the imperative to stand out, right? Now, you have to assume that your CV will be read. That recruiter may not read the cover letter, even though they ask for it sometimes or often, but we don't know if they read it, but the CV will be read. So you have to build your CV with extra care. Okay, so let's talk about who reads your CV. So on the one hand, you have HR. Okay, and a lot of people think or make the mistake in thinking that HR is the one that calls the shots, and that's not true. HR, what they do is they just filter job applications. Unless you're applying to an HR position, in their department, and they have to make the call. Unless you're doing that, HR's role is very procedural. So they they follow the process. They get your CV, they put you into the system. Depending on your qualifications and everything, you can qualify for the first interview, the first round, then the second round, then the third round, etc. And they communicate you whether you get an offer or not. So they follow the process. So what does this mean for you? You have to display career progression, transferable skills. Does anybody know what transferable skills are? Look, it's not an open question. It's basically skills that you can apply from one job in another. So one of the questions that I get as a career counselor is, hey, I studied philosophy and I want to go into, or I studied marketing and I want to go into finance, and I only have experience in marketing. Then what is it from marketing that you can transfer over to finance? So many people in marketing managed budgets before. They also calculated the performance of their marketing initiatives, like, for example, the return on the marketing investment, the calculation of your margins or market share and whatnot. So those skills, numerical skills, you can definitely transfer them over, and you can tailor your CV in such a way that it makes sense for finance, even though you don't have finance experience. If you don't have a job, we're going to get to that point later, okay? Anyway, what is this person thinking? They're thinking, are they the right person for this company? Can they fit in this culture? That's all they care about, okay? The other person is from the business side, and this is the most important one. This is the hiring manager, the person that calls the shots. They make the final decision. They want to know if you match with the job, and they want to see if you can do the job. So what does this mean for you? Your CV needs to be tailored to the position. The worst thing that you can do is to send the same CV to 20 different positions. You have to tailor your CV to the position, because otherwise you're sending a really bad message, okay? So what is this person thinking? 3 things. Can they do the job? So do they have the aptitude to do the job? Will they do the job? Do they have the attitude and motivation to do the job? And do I see myself working with them day to day? Do I see myself sitting with them in the same room, in the same team, or whatever? And usually I'm going to give you a small trinket. And basically what would help you understand what goes through their head is, the managers are thinking, if I'm visiting someone like a customer or something with this person that I'm interviewing, and we get a delay in a flight, and it's a 2-hour delay, do I see myself in a 2-hour delay in that airport next to this person? That's basically what they're trying to answer, okay? Now, so essentially, what does your CV need to do? Create impact, right? So how? There are 3 elements of impact. The first is format, the format of the CV. The second is the content of what's in the CV. And the third is how much both show how good of a fit you are for this role, okay? So let's expand a little bit on each. The format gives you the recruiter the first impression on your ability to structure information and to convey messages clearly. So if I look at your CV, do I know where you went to school? Do I know what languages you speak? Do I know what you've accomplished? Do I know what are your hobbies if I'm looking for them? Okay, can I see it clearly? You know, is it clear in the format? The content is basically whether what I want to see is what I'm seeing is relevant. You know, is it quality information? Is it well written? Is it detail oriented? Is it concise? Okay, then the fit is everything that allows a recruiter to see whether you understood what this job is about based on the CV. Okay, so while it is true that in a CV you don't have the space or the time to explain why you should be hired for this job, you do so in the way of bullet points and showing the accomplishments that you've had before. We're gonna go over that, okay? Now, this is what an IESE CV look like. This webinar is not about inviting you to adopt a format. I'm just telling you why we have a structure that we do, the structure that we do. Can you see it? So as you can see, you have clearly the contact information on the top, the education, the experience, the languages that this person speaks, and any general information, extracurricular activities, hobbies, skills, software skills, sports, any certificates, whatever, okay? That's the reason why. The reason why we have a specific format is because we send CV books to companies like, hey, this is our class. If you have anyone that stands out for you, feel free to contact them. But because they have books of CVs, When they're flipping through the pages, they want to be able to know where each of the section, where the information that they're looking for is. Because if everybody had a different format, then the recruiter would go crazy and be like, no, I can't, I can only do 2 CVs per hour. I can't. Okay, so that's what we want to avoid. Now, let's talk a little bit about format. So I already explained why it's the most easy to read to recruiters, for recruiters. So at the top, you have the name and the contact information. You know, your email, your phone number. Some individuals put the link to their LinkedIn pages there. That's totally fine. At IESE, we recommend people to put their work authorization, where they're allowed and eligible to work, like specifically name the region or countries, because that saves you a lot of time and it saves a recruiter a lot of time. Also, then you have the education, and in the education, you have the date format in year form, because what matters in education is whether you completed your degree within the allotted time. If your degree is a 4-year degree, all that matters is that we see that it took you 4 years to do it, okay? Then you have the work experience, and here the date is different. The date is month and the last two digits of the year. To the other month and the last 2 digits of the year in which you were in each position or in each company. The reason why is because a lot of individuals put summer intern, or no, not summer, analyst intern, 2019, 2020. Like, I don't know how long you were there for, like a month, 3 months, 6, 11, I don't know. And then if you've been promoted in your company, you want to add the specific dates for each of the positions. And I want to know how fast you were promoted, you know, or how quickly, or how not quickly, because your entire CV is delivering many messages, okay? Anyway, on the right-hand side, we put the location, as you saw before. The languages, I'm gonna discuss a little bit the languages, and then we have the general information on the bottom. Now, when it comes to the format, what matters is consistency, okay? Perfect grammar everywhere. I cannot overstress this enough. Your grammar, your spelling, your syntax of your sentences needs to be as perfect as humanly possible. The reason why is because if I, as a recruiter, I used to recruit as well. I mean, I wasn't an HR person, but I used to recruit for my teams before coming to IESE. And if I saw a spelling mistake, I knew, or I got an idea of what kind of job you would do if I hired you. And if I'm interested in detail-oriented people, then that person, I didn't even send them a message saying, thank you for your application, but we're not going ahead. It's a waste of time. And when you're receiving hundreds of CVs, you cannot just get back to everybody. Anyway, in your work experience, or any sentence in general that you write in your CV, either all sentences in the document have bullet points or neither, okay? No inconsistencies with one having a bullet point and then the rest don't, or those things are noticeable, okay? No bold, no italics, unless besides section titles, if you want to add the section title to the bold to the section title, or the job title, make it italic. No colors, no pictures. Pictures is an interesting topic because they're not required. It really depends on the region and the country that you're applying to. In some regions, they ask for it, but they're not legally required. And you run the risk of, regardless of what the company is going to say, you know, we are equal opportunity employers. We're not going to choose based on your sex, ethnicity, looks, faith, whatever. Regardless of that, subconsciously, you do send a message with your picture. If you're too serious, if you're wearing too much makeup, if it's not a professional photo, if you're wearing sunglasses, I mean, there's so many variables that it's just best to not include a picture. Okay, now within each section, like education, make sure that the dates have a consistent format. All the 4 digits of the year, and in the work experience, the month and the year. Okay, let's move on. Content. What matters in content is relevance. Every bullet point that you write in the work experience needs to be relevant for the job posting. If you're applying to a position in marketing, I'm not interested in knowing what you did for coding, you know, for a software program, for developing a software. I mean, is it relevant? It depends on what your position you're applying to in marketing, but it needs to be directly relevant, okay? Now, you can make an argument for indirect relevance, like for example, If coding allowed you to develop an app, and then that app was promoted to marketing through marketing, and then you develop customers, and the job posting that you're applying is more like a tech role, you know, more like in the tech sector, then that makes sense. So use your common sense, okay? Now, as you see here, action, verb, and star, that's part of this presentation, we'll see it later. But the point is you want to avoid industry-specific jargon, and you want to avoid repeating skills. I'm gonna move on. I'm gonna explain these more in the coming slides. Now, the fit, what matters with the fit is that it's coherent. Is your CV coherent with who you are, with your cover letter, with the values of the company, with the job description, okay? Now, a lot of individuals write bullet points in the work experience where you start a story in the bullet point and you continue the same story, but a different part of it in another bullet point. That's not cool. That doesn't fly, okay? What you need to do is just one story per bullet point, okay? We're gonna dive in a little deeper, and we're gonna have more time to do exercises. So I need to move on. Selling tips, just ask yourself these 3 questions at the end. When you have your CV created, just ask yourself these 3 questions. I wanna be incisive on the last point. English. I understand that for many of you, English is not your first language or your mother tongue. So one mistake that I always see, and that I think is definitely avoidable, is that many individuals write the stuff in their native tongue and then they translate it. And that produces what they call lost in translation problems, because they're different languages. My advice, sit down with somebody that speaks English very well and get their feedback. Am I really conveying the message here in English? The message that I want to convey, okay? Let's move on. So what should you write on your CV? Let's go section by section, okay? Now, I'm not gonna devote time on the name or contact because, you know, common sense. Education. It helps the reader understand your academic education and your performance. Now, when it comes to performance, it's optional. So for example, if you've done a master's, you wanna do the order of the most recent first and the order at the bottom. So if you've done a master's or you just finished a master's, put it there. You know, put the school on the top, the master's, any scholarships that you gain. If you did a GMAT and it's a good score, good. Your GPA, if it's good, I would put it. Then below you do your bachelor's degree, you know, bachelor's in blank. Did you get honors? Did you get a scholarship? Did you get a good GPA? Put it there. Notice that I'm separating it by semicolon, and the semicolons are the same for both bullet points, right? That's part of the consistency stuff that we discussed earlier, okay? And any exchange programs also work. Make sure you know that you put the dates on the left and the locations on the right. Now, your work experience. Okay, so this part requires a lot, okay? So I need you to yawn, stretch, because I need you to focus for this. We're gonna dive a little deeper on it, but I need you to start paying attention from now, this section, okay? So what to write about in this section? So what's the role of the CV in the work experience? This is where you create the impact, mostly. You create impact everywhere, depending on how you structure the information, but this is where it will be most tangible, okay? So how? You focus on accomplishments, not on responsibilities. The last thing that a recruiter wants is to read a CV and for them to think that it is a job posting. Responsible for writing 3 reports per week, in charge of supervising team with 2 interns, whatever. Managed the coffee making machine to make sure that it was whatever. Okay, but those are responsibilities. It doesn't tell me what you did. It tells me what you had to do. And I don't know if you even did it. I don't know how you did it. I don't know what you accomplished. So accomplishment is directly related to impact. So do not write responsibilities and tasks because they don't say anything. It just says the role for the job, the responsibilities for the job. So you don't want your CV to be a job posting, okay? Now, let me introduce to you a framework to help you write down your accomplishments. Think about your past job experiences. So this is a thinking exercise, okay? It's not like there's a book that will tell you exactly what to write and everything. This is you, okay? Your experiences. Think about your past job experiences. If you don't have a job, we'll get to, if you've never had work experience, which is totally fine, we'll get to that later, okay? But think about your past job experiences. Think about the responsibilities that you had in each of those job experiences. What were you responsible for? Then for each of the responsibilities, think about the accomplishments that you made. What did you accomplish in each of those responsibilities? It is true that you were responsible for maintaining the coffee machine, but what did you accomplish by doing so? Did you prevent the coffee machine from breaking throughout the entire time that you were there? Or maybe it just broke two times when on average it breaks 4 times? That's a massive accomplishment. You just increased efficiencies by 50%. And you may have saved the company some money. That's an accomplishment. How much money did you make and save? Okay, so think further, push yourself to think. Then we advise that you think of any accomplishments that went beyond the responsibilities. Okay, anything that you were not contracted to do, but that you did and created something, you put it there. Okay, so now that you have these titles, it's time for you to fill in the table. Okay, simple as that. Now, well, that's I already said that. Number 2, I would keep this table as a bank of the accomplishments that you can later go back to for tailoring your CVs to other positions or for writing a cover letter. Okay. And lastly, if you don't remember your accomplishments, if you don't remember the status of a project that you started working on, but then you left, like for example, consulting interns, call a former colleague or manager. Hey, whatever happened to that thing? Oh, hey, remember that project that I worked on? Just try to get as much information as you can. Okay. Now, on the work experience, let's talk a little bit about the dates. Stick to this format. For example, APR 19 to May 20, from April 2019 to May of 2020. That makes a lot more sense, no? When you're trying to understand how long a person was in this position for. If you have had multiple positions in one company, then as you can see, the company name, okay, goes on the top with the entire time that you were there. And how does this entire time work? Well, look at the job titles. Given that you have different jobs in that company, you started the very first job title in the CCC and you ended the later job title at BBB, or maybe you're still working there, so you put present. So the company name is from CCC to whenever you ended, or if you're still there, to the present. This makes sense, no? So if you look at the CV that I shared, you see that, no? You have the company name on the top, NatWest Markets. You have a company description. Then you have the job title in italics. You have one date in this case, because you only had one position, and you have the location. Okay. For more than one position, just say do what I explained here. Okay. So do not include the dates of the job titles if you've only held one position, because otherwise it just looks cluttered. And then for the locations, do not include them if they were the same location than where the company is located, because you're just adding clutter to the CV. I hope this makes sense. You will get the recording. I got no time to stop here too long, so I got to keep going. Okay. Now the languages, really simple. If you're applying to a European region, make sure that you denote your language skills according to the system. You know, A1, A2, B1, B2, C1, C2. And then mother tongue. Mother tongue is a language that you're born with. C2 is a language that you adopt from a very early age, but you're still not born with it. Okay. Non-European system, mother tongue or native, excellent, good. And then you have the basic in the non-European and the lower levels in the European system. My advice is don't put them, because you might get interviewed in that language. And if you just speak basically, you're gonna shoot yourself in the foot. Okay. The reason why I say this is because let's say I went to France for a month, and I know how to choose what I want from a menu. I know how to say hello, good morning. I have to go to the bathroom. I want to order a beer. Can I please Do you want to go on a date with me? That doesn't mean you speak French. So don't put that as a lower level. It doesn't mean that you speak French. If you cannot withhold a conversation or an interview in that language, do not put it here. Okay, cool. Now, gender information, this part is critical. The gender information is the area where you will be allowed to go beyond what a CV usually is. You know, it's the area where you can show your colors, you know, talk a little bit more about yourself as a person, about your interests, about the things that you've achieved beyond the work experience, beyond the academics, etc. So it allows the reader to relate to you. Okay, now, a great way to stand out is to include any unusual experiences, any leisure activity or an accomplishment that is central to you as an individual. That said, here's an example. For hobbies, you put a bullet point, hobbies, and then you talk about them. Trying every food and experience the world can offer, including deep fried cockroach in Myanmar and sauteed sheep dung in Iran, semicolon, meditation, in June, braved a 10-day silent retreat, semicolon, vino seco de Jerez is a very Spanish thing, wine related, lengthy lectures on its complexities available upon request. That's funny, actually. I laughed when I read that. That's from one of our students. Number 2, unless you have a really outstanding achievement, do not include anything that you did in high school or before because they're too old. And by really outstanding, I mean that you won the national championship of science competition or something, or you won a prize from Oprah when you were a student and you were able to spell any word under the sun, okay? Unless it's really outstanding, do not include it. It's just too old. And recruiters don't look at what you did in high school. Unless you went to the moon. Did you go to the moon when you were in high school? Then include it. All right, next. Classify everything under the general information in categories. Okay, so what do I mean by categories? Well, I'm going to show them later. So for example, software skills. Microsoft Office, semicolon, Python, semicolon, SAP, semicolon, R, semicolon, blank, whatever, okay? Now, the category here is software skills. Your next category could be certifications that you have. Maybe you did a Google AdWords course and you're Google AdWords certified, okay? So these are some examples: software skills, certifications, other courses that you did outside of your full-time course. Maybe you took like a financial planning course and you want to talk about it. Any sports, any extracurricular activities, volunteering, hobbies, etc. Now, after each item within the category, make sure that you include the years in which you did the activity. So look at these examples: sports, University Division I, football captain, 2018 to 2020. Certifications, Google AdWords certified, which year? Okay, that is critical because we need to know when you did this. Okay, because Google AdWords today may not be the same as it was in 2019. Now, so what about hobbies? I wanna pay particular attention to this one. What I usually see is this. What's wrong with that? Volunteers. I'm gonna call code somebody otherwise. What's wrong with this?
Sounds too basic.
Too vague as well. And too generic.
Vague, generic, basic, no impact, right? The worst thing is that anybody can write this. Okay, love to cook, travel, read, peace. Like, no, man, like there's no impact, there's nothing there. What about the following? Cooking enthusiast, through which to express my creativity and love for other people. Traveling fan as an activity that is humbling and allows to learn from others. Travel helps us understand that the world is bigger than all of one's concerns. Reading anything that enriches our personal values and makes us question our convictions. Now that tells me why you love these things. Now, this is just an example, okay? I don't want you to write an essay on why you love each of them. This is just an example, okay? You still have to be concise, but you do want to get your point across, right? The key message here in this part where you're allowed to deviate a little bit from the rest of your CV is to never write in the first person. I enjoy this. I love this because it helps my blank. No, never, 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 never. Look, I'm flashing it for you, okay? I want to drill this into your head. Good. So let's talk about those bullets now. We're gonna go into the work experience. I want you, everybody, for 30 seconds to yawn, stretch, stand up, do whatever you gotta do, shake, because I need you to be awake for this part. Okay, this is one of the most important parts, and I will be cold calling or asking you to participate. So 30 seconds starting now. Yeah, you just check your WhatsApps and everything. Good, it's time to put it away. Cool, let's move on. So now that you have all the feature statements in this table, or I know that you didn't just do them, I know that you will. Ask yourself, so how can I frame each of them? How can I write each of the bullets so that I can communicate impact? Great question. So let me give you some examples. Are you going to tell me what's wrong with these? What's wrong?
Responsibilities.
Yes, exactly. They're just tasks. They're just responsibilities. And most of the CVs that I find are like these. Okay, they're just tasks. Cool. In other words, so what? Responsible for sourcing and purchasing information in the customer unit. So what? Interact with stakeholders in 6. So what? In charge of evaluating. So what? Like what is this about you that is not about the job? Okay, perfect. So when you say what you did, you're talking about the past. Okay. When you say why it matters, you're talking about impact now and in the future. So most people write feature statements that anybody else can do. What you need to write are benefit statements. Okay, what is the benefit of what you did for the company, or what was the benefit? Okay, so how can we do this? Perfect. This is one particular framework, the benefit mill. It allows you to evaluate each one of the bullets based on 7 specific variables. So for example, did you increase revenues or costs, or decrease costs? Revenues is another word for sales, by the way, for those non-business majors. Did you have any impact on the brand? Did you increase efficiencies or reduce waste? Did you reduce any risks or eliminate any risks? Did you capture more customers? Did you keep more customers? Did you prevent them from leaving? Did you display leadership? What values are you transmitting through this bullet? And are they in line with the company's values that you're applying to? Okay. Basically, you can take these questions after you write every bullet and see for yourself. Okay. This is mostly reading, so you can read it on your own time when you review the recording. Now, how to write the bullets. Okay. Let me introduce the SAR method. That's a method that we teach here at IESE. Okay. So the STAR method is the situation, the action, and the results. For every particular bullet, what was the situation, what was the action, and what was the result? Situation, what was the issue? What was the context? Action, what are the things that you did? Not the team, not the team achieved this. No, it's you. They're not interviewing the team here. They want to interview you. So what did you do? What about the results? What were the outcomes of what you did? In quantity terms or in quality terms? Okay, I'll explain the difference later. Now, you want to start each bullet with an action verb. You can just Google action verbs for CV and you get a list of thousands: managed, supervised, led, implemented, designed, constructed, blah, 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 anything. Okay, those are action verbs. And you start the sentence with an action verb and then you continue with the 3 variables here. So let's do some examples. I want you all to tell me, or whoever is brave enough to tell me, which is the action, the situation, the action, the result in each of them. Let's start with the first one. What's the situation? What was the issue in this company at that time? Okay, Kevin Lin, are you there? Kevin? Kevin Lin? Too shy? Okay, I'm gonna go to somebody else.
I can go if you want.
Perfect. Go for
Yeah.
it. Go for it. Right.
What I understood is the situation is we want to understand the market relevance and future integration of the low volume products in the company. The results is, the action that they did is they just analyzed, that's what I understood. And the result was that 70% is what was the result, 70% of a low volume product.
Great job, Francois. Exactly. Exactly. All right. The next one is a little bit trickier. Who can tell me what the variables are?
So the situation is the production of the products in Asia and Europe.
Are you sure?
Action is the fact that they managed it, and the result is the reduced delivery time.
Okay. Now, thank you very much for your participation. And are you sure that the situation is the production? Because here, I see that maybe this company had an issue with the delivery time. And that's what they were trying to fix through those actions. Now here, so good job, you got the results correct. You got the actions semi-correct. And the reason why is because this is a tricky one. The actions are basically non-existent. Okay, you manage production of mirrors and decorations, but what were the actions? Like, what did you do to manage them? So really, there is no action. All I see is an action verb. If you say manage the production of mirrors and decorations by blah, 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 by doing this and this and that, then I know what actions you took. Okay? No, actually, sorry, you were right. The situation is the production of the mirrors and decorations. You're right. I apologize. You're right. But still, there's no action, as you can see here. What about the next one? Devise social media policies to advertise Espero ski team and publicize awards and medals awarded to racers, reaching XXXXX, whatever. What are the three variables? Where are the three variables here?
I would say that the situation is that they are not standing out within the Greek teams. So what they did, which is the action, is to devise social media policies and advertise their team. And then the result was to they publicize awards and medals.
Nice.
And yeah.
Nice. The result here is actually the number 2,300 likes, right? Thank you, Aaron. So there is something about the action that I'm not happy with. Can anybody say why?
No mention of how?
Exactly. What do you mean by social media policies? Like, why does that mean posting 5 times on Instagram? Does that mean like managing a community of followers on Facebook? Does that mean like making sure that you are reposting tweets every now and then? Whatever. Like, what were they? You know? Okay. The next one. The next one is pretty straightforward. Any volunteers? I'm just going to go ahead with it because it's pretty straightforward and we don't have much time. The situation is that they had a sustainability issue with the ordering system. So they revamped it, no? And they resulted in a decrease in stock shortages. The last one. What are the 3 variables? We have to move fast.
They established the daily cash report, prepared and analyzed financial statements. This is the first part. The second is improve the company cost system, reconcile the receipts to detect errors, and all for the resulting. And the result is the increase of profitability by 12%.
Nice. The issue here is that there's way too many actions. There's way too many actions. If you look, improve company cost system, that's a bullet in and of itself. By the way, admissions, I know that I have 10 minutes left. I just noticed. Okay, so no need to shout, Deborah. Yes, so thank you, Federico. I'm gonna leave this one for you because we need to move on. Okay, now I want you to write this out. Write the bullet point. What would you write here? And tell it to me. Okay, so take 30 seconds. I'm giving you each of the variables. I want you to write the benefit statement. Feel free to go beyond what is here. Don't just copy paste. Okay, 30 seconds are up. Volunteers.
Well, the brand manager, the situation is that he decreased sales. There was a problem when it comes to sales, and he implemented a new marketing strategy in order to boost sales. And in this case, I would say that the sales or the revenues were boosted by such a marketing strategy, which resulted in X euros.
So how would you write the bullet? What would you read out to me what you would, or say to me what you would, if you were reading a CV, what would that bullet say?
Well,
I think
yes, I introduced a new marketing strategy in order to compensate the company's decrease in sales of X product, and which resulted in a boost in sales, improving the revenues, the turnover.
fair
So-
enough. Fair enough. Thank you, Axel. I'm just gonna give the opportunity to Yasin because I saw that you raised your hand. Yasin, you wanna contribute something?
Yeah, thank you. Just I wanted to say the same as my partner.
Okay. Okay. I'm gonna show you what I have. The mission here is to write the bullet point. This is what I wrote. Implemented a new marketing strategy using social networks like Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram. Okay. I didn't just say a new marketing strategy, like what's new about it. In the flagging skin scrub line, resulting in sales 8% above forecast. Okay. What about this one? Take 30 seconds, write out the bullet point, and then read it to me. Okay, volunteers?
Sure, I'll do it. So created an improved warehouse management system by, I don't know, by doing what? To decrease the, no. Created a new improved warehouse management system that allowed to decrease the fixed costs by X, therefore resulting in increased profits by Y.
Exactly. You did say by I don't know what, and I'm assuming that if you had more time, you would tell me the I don't know what, right?
Yeah.
Perfect. Yes. Great job, Kipras. Improve warehouse management systems by revamping the sourcing capability to increase inventory turnover. I mean, look, I understand the business terms. I'm just letting you know that there's a way to explain the impact that you had in numbers, whether it's in percentages, whether it's in sales numbers and decreasing costs. It doesn't matter, but you have to use numbers, okay? Now, what about qualitative statements? So these are quantifiable results. What about the ones that are not quantifiable and are qualitative? Well, I'm just gonna move on for the sake of time, but you basically apply the same thing. So for example, the situation, need to secure repeat business from new customers, that's a situation, but there was a lackluster team and it was impacting the ability to meet any deadlines. So the actions that this person took is that they motivated the team to improve through daily task updates. So these are the updates of each of the tasks and everything. No? And it resulted in securing repeat business from customer and receiving good feedback from the manager. That's a qualitative result because it's difficult to quantify. You know, you could say how much of repeat business, but we don't always have that information. So this is an example of the bullet that I would write. Establish daily task meetings after discussing with team about the importance of alignment on quality and service to a new customer, resulting in blank. Okay, this is another example for a consulting intern. The situation is they needed to deliver recommendations to a client during an internship. The action is that they researched the benchmark and then presented their recommendations. Recos is what's known as recommendations, just so you know. And the result is that 3 out of the 3 recommendations were implemented later. Advise client on how to improve sales operations by researching and benchmarking sales scripts, whatever, resulting in 3 out of 3 recommendations implemented at a later date. I'm not expecting you to master this kind of language. What I'm expecting you to understand is the structure, situation, action, result. And the result, can it be quantifiable? If not, it needs to have some sort of outcome. Okay, that's what I need you to understand, the structure. The content is on you because I don't know what the things that you've accomplished and everything. Okay, so what if you don't have any post-university experience? My advice is to think about any project or extracurricular activity in which you had an important role, like a leadership role or obtaining something that was impossible without which you couldn't meet a goal, you've got a major prize, etc. And use the same principles. So for example, the only thing is that when you write the company name, it won't be a company. It will be either the university in which you were a student or an organization, for example, Habitat for Humanity or the National Honor Society or the UN Model United Nations. The United Nations, but it's the Model United Nations, okay? And the bullet, each bullet is just shows what you did in that specific project, okay? This is an example of a student at the MIM that has no work experience, but in the work experience section, they talked about the projects that they worked on. They just respected the principles, right? Okay, now, quickly, do's about the STAR method. Axel, I know that you have a question. We have very little time, so I'm gonna move on and leave questions till the end. Do's, be tangible and concrete in your descriptions. So what I mean is that avoid not saying anything. Implemented an innovative market, what does that mean? Okay, better, included social media in the marketing strategy of the launch of a new product, blah, 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 blah. Okay, numbers, where you can put a number to your results. If not, explain the qualitative improvement. We talked about this already. Increase sales by X%. Now, if you say, I increased sales by 80 million euros, I don't know if that's good or bad. So maybe give me some context. Increased sales or achieved a 2% above forecast sales, okay? If you worked at a project in a team and you contributed to 50% of the results of the project, you might want to mention the size of the team, because if it's a 2-person team, then maybe 50-50 is not that big, but if it was a 4 or 7-person team and you contributed 50%, that's a lot. Okay, so give me some context. Lastly, bullet points must be short. No more than 2 lines, but not too short that they're only half a line long. Okay, a lot of people write 3 lines, that's just too much. Okay, no more than 2 lines. Now, don't do's. Do not talk about what the team did. Talk about what you did. Recruiters are interested in hiring you. Deborah, I know I have 1 minute. Don't give me those evil eyes. I know I have 1 minute. I'm gonna be quick, okay? Now, generally avoid jargon. You know, any technical jargon that a recruiter would not understand. Improve SAP user interface by eliminating CSS plus whatever plasma. I just made that up, okay? But you get the point, right? Do not make it technical. Avoid any action verbs that undermine your involvement. Assisted, participated, collaborated. So you can say, but what if that's what I did? I collaborated. Let me give you an example. If I am building a car and I built 90% of the car and I'm just missing the 4 wheels, and I say, let's see, Gerardo, can you please do the wheels? And Gerardo's gonna be like, yeah, for sure. And so I'm gonna write that in the CV. Collaborating in building a car, that's weak. But if you own the process that I gave you, the task that I gave you, then you can talk about that task that you manage. Manage the assembling of the wheels, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And I don't know how much the other person did for the car, and I don't need to know. What I need to know is what you did for that task and how you did it and what you accomplished. You get the point. I can tell you, I'm gonna draw a circle, but I'm gonna stop at this much. And I'm gonna ask Gregor to finish the circle. Okay, Gregor is not gonna say, assisted my manager in finishing drawing the circle. Gregor's gonna say, completed a circle by respecting the angle or trying this new technique by using well, I don't know the name of the tool, but using whatever, or using data analytics to come up with the right curvature for the circle. Be creative, okay? But don't tell me how you did something weak. Tell me how you own that task, because I'm giving you a task to own, even if you actually just collaborated, okay? Let's move on. If you're afraid of overinflating what you did, remember what I said. Frame it with context, okay? Avoid repeating action verbs too much. Remember that the space in the CV is limited, so use it well. Managed, supervised, implemented, managed, led, designed, managed. No, try to, I mean, there's so many synonyms out there. All it takes is a Google search, okay? So try not to repeat them. Final tips on the SAR. The order is interchangeable. If you start with the action, you follow with the situation, and then the results, that's fine, you know? If you start with the results, then the action, then the situation, that's totally fine. What you need to do is to always start with an action verb. Whichever order you choose, remember that the format is, the whole point is to be consistent throughout the whole thing. So if you're gonna choose one order, try to keep it for the rest of the CV, okay? Now, each bullet must show a story that is easy to follow, and just one story. Do not continue stories in bullets. It's just one story, then you end it, and that's it, okay? I just said that. And lastly, my biggest advice when writing your bullets, when you're thinking about writing your CV and what achievements that you have, use this framework. What was the situation for this particular bullet? What were the actions that you took and what were the results? And then you write the benefit statement, the bullet, okay? And remember to start with an action verb. This is the structure, okay? Action verb, the S or the A or the R, plus the S, the A or the R, and then the S, the A or the R. For consistency, stick with one order for the rest of your CV. If you do SAR for one bullet, you try to keep it for all the rest, okay? Lastly, the difference between a general CV and a tailored CV, okay? Now, a general CV is a CV that you use for everything, and you're just making it rain to all recruiters, like, yeah, hire me. Like, no, it doesn't work like that, because it shows a recruiter that you're lazy. A tailored CV is a CV that you wrote specifically, or maybe you use a general CV and you change a few of the things to make it relevant for that particular position. So the problem with a general CV is that it's myopic. I mean, it doesn't show your capability to understand or to be relevant. And that says a lot about the kind of job that you would do if I were to hire you, okay? It also shows laziness, and it's just not cool. A tailored CV shows that you understand what the job description is asking, okay? It also shows that you prepared, that you devoted time for this, and you're giving me what I want. You're giving the recruiter what they want. I'm seeking this. Do not apply if you don't have it. Simple as that, okay? Now, your best friend here for the tailored CV is a job posting. It will tell you everything that they're looking for and what they're not looking for, more importantly. So if they're looking for experience in project management, or maybe they're not looking for experience, but they're looking for attitudes, you know, for those entry-level jobs or specific attitudes, make sure that you put bullets that explain that. If they're looking for people that speak 2 languages, if you speak those 2 languages, put them in the languages section and explain the proficiency, mother tongue, native, fluent, B1, B2, C2, whatever, okay? The job posting will tell you exactly what needs to be on the CV, and it will tell you exactly what it is that you're lacking, so that maybe you can find ways to fill that gap. Okay, so to finalize, yes, I'm only 4 minutes beyond. To finalize, a good tailored CV will show these following variables. Number one, it provokes questions. Ah, interesting. Wow, I want to get to know this person to ask them more about this. Like, how do they really do that? How do they come up with that idea? Okay. Number two, it has keywords. So if you are applying to a finance position and you include words like cost, debt, equity, profit, margin, revenues, liability, assets. Okay, just go in a dictionary and look what these words are. If you're applying to marketing and you include words like market share, customers, followers, leads, anything that is related to marketing. Okay, and the same for any other function. If you're going to tech, make sure that you're understanding code. That word, I'm not saying explain like the technical jargon, but you might want to show that you understand what this sector is all about. The other one, like I said, it focuses on accomplishments. I'm not gonna talk about that one. It focuses on the value that you can bring to this company. Remember the 3 questions that I said after you finish the CV? Is it obvious the value that you can bring to a company? Okay, then referenceable. This is important. Referenceable means that you can reference your CV. For example, if you're in an interview, you can say, well, as you can see in my CV, I actually do have experience in this sector because when I was working in this company, I was in charge of blah, 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 blah. That's referenceable. And a company can also say, oh, so I can see on your CV that you like hiking. I'm a huge hiker too. What is it that you really like about hiking? Because interviewing is not only about proving that you're right for the job, it's also about building a relationship or building a connection. And the last one, it's concise. Super important. We don't want to see an essay, a CV that is over 1 page is already too long. Okay, so it's concise. Okay, I guess we have time for how many questions, Deborah?
I've got 2 questions for you. One is basically for your current job. What verb tense should you be using for your statements? So basically, should it be present? Should it be past tense? Should you be using a gerund? So would it be execute an efficient advertising campaign, executing an efficient advertising campaign, or executed?
So remember, thank you, Deborah. So remember that the idea here, the criteria is consistency. So if you're going to be having past tense in the prior jobs, you need to have past tense to the current job. Because if you talk about the present tense, it's something that you're currently doing and for which you don't still have the results, right? So there's no point in talking about it. Talk about the things that you just achieved. And I'm assuming that you're going to achieve more things, which is great, but that's not what the CV is for. So keep it in the past tense and only if you have achievements. If you're currently working on something, I repeat, just don't include it because there still aren't any results.
And one additional question. So basically, how can you use the SAR method to show what you've learned from projects that help to form you as a professional?
Yeah. Is this about a someone with no work experience? Are you talking about a project in academia? Whoever asked that question?
Yassine?
A project could be an international immersion project or a language immersion. So yeah, and with no experience.
Okay, so you were learning a new language and you were internationally, right? In an international setting.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So that means that what's the result? Did you achieve the goal of making it to B1 or B2 level? You can definitely talk about a immersive language experience, whatever, achieve my goal, the goal of B2 level within X months, which is X days or X days below the forecast.
Okay, thank you very much.
So you can use the same method, the SAR method. You give the situation, what were you doing? What was the context? You needed to learn a new language. What were the actions? I read, I watched movies, I listened to music in that language, I spoke with people, I ate I read menus and ate those foods. And then the result, I managed to learn the language or to achieve my goal of making it to B2 or C1 proficiency within X amount of time.
Excellent. We've now gone 10 minutes over, so I know there's more questions, but I think we have to cut it off for right now. Thank you so much, Carlos, for all of your time and wisdom.
You're very welcome. So guys, thank you for staying connected. Feel free to connect with me if you have more questions on LinkedIn. I'm really happy to help. I hope that this showed you a little bit about what we do at IESE and how we do it, specifically on the career side. CV is only one of the tens of topics that we discuss, because getting a job is not only about the CV, right? So I hope that you got a lot of value. Have a great day. Stay safe. Okay, COVID is real, so stay safe. And we'll be here for you whenever you need it, okay? Have a great day, you guys. Thank you.
Thank you, Carlos.